Welcome to Cine Bite. In this video, we will explain a thriller film, which is the directorial debut of David Marmor, entitled 1BR. 1BR tells the story of a young woman named Sarah moving into a new apartment in a beautiful and peaceful environment. But she didn't know that her decision brought her to the psychopathic association. Can Sarah get out of the apartment? Let's find out together. 1BR begins with a scene that shows a group of people living in an apartment complex who look happy and help each other. But is it true that life without conflict is real in a community? The scene continues and shows Sarah looking for a new apartment in Los Angeles. After seeing an advertisement for Asilo Del Mar's apartment, she stopped by and have a look. This apartment itself attaches great importance to the safety of its residents because it can be seen that there are CCTV cameras everywhere. To open the front door, they have to use a remote that locks the door automatically. A man she met said that they put up tight security after an intruder tried to enter their apartment area. In the apartment complex, everything looked pleasant. Green area, swimming pool, and the residents are kind and always smiling to each other. There, Sarah met an old woman who looked a bit eccentric with thick makeup, which was starting to go senile and almost fell into the swimming pool. In the open house arena, Sarah could see many people looking at the apartment area, and there, Sarah could see that there were some strange marks on the walls. After being asked by Jerry, Sarah said if she wanted to start a new life in Los Angeles. Sarah also lied about owning a pet, even though she has a cat named Giles. All residents in this apartment are prohibited from bringing pets. It turns out that Sarah moved to Los Angeles because she wanted to stay away from her father, so she ran away from home. Her father had an affair with Diana, the nurse who cared for her mother when she was dying. Now her mother has died. Sarah hates her father so much that she doesn't want to see her father again. Sarah finally got a job in an office there. She has a co-worker named Lisa who is so vocal and doesn't care about anyone. Lisa is definitely someone who doesn't want to be controlled by anyone. Sarah gets a call from Jerry saying she's been selected to rent the apartment in his place. Unbeknownst to her, the phone call was the start of her nightmare. From then on, her life would never be the same again. When she moved, Sarah saw a man with dark beaked glasses watching her from afar, but her confusion was immediately solved when she met Brian, the handsome man she had a crush on since the first time Sarah was carrying her cat, and she was trying hard to hide it. That afternoon, all the apartment residents held a barbecue party to welcome Sarah into their community. What a community that is so supportive of one another. Sarah met again with Grandma, who seems so friendly and kind to everyone. But this granny looks senile. She even mispronounced Sarah's name when introducing their other neighbors, who worked as lawyers and doctors. Everyone is so lovely and very friendly to Sarah, made her so comfortable in her new neighborhood. Sarah was then accompanied by the man with black glasses again. The man gave her a book called The Power of Community. Sarah wasn't interested in the man at all. On the contrary, she was very interested in Brian. Sarah really wanted to be a designer. That's why she always carried her sewing machine with her wherever she went that night. Sarah tried to sleep, but instead she heard a strange sound, as if there was a moving pipe and running water. The noise kept her from getting a good night's sleep, as if a man is busy fixing the plumbing at night. The next night, when going to sleep, Sarah heard the same sound again, so that her sleep was disturbed again. One night Sarah tried to find her cat, but she couldn't find it while looking. She accidentally saw Edith walking alone outside. Looks like Edith is sleepwalking. Sarah then took Edith back to her room. Then she found a book called The Power of Community, the same book that the bespectacled man gave her. The man turned out to be Lester. Edith told her that Lester had just lost his wife to cancer. When she returned to her room, Sarah could not sleep again because the sound of the pipes moving again appeared and disturbed her sleep all night. When she woke up the following day, Sarah saw someone who had tucked a letter under her apartment door and then ran away when opened. She was so surprised by a letter warning about the prohibition of keeping animals in the apartment. Sarah immediately ran outside to look for the culprit, who put the letter still. She only saw amiable people when she passed her, until finally the man with beaked glasses, Lester, appeared again. But he immediately left when Sarah saw him. The next night Lisa came to visit Sarah's apartment. The two of them talked a lot more. Sarah said that she had the desire to return home to meet her father, but Lisa said if Sarah had to determine her own life, while saying the slogan in her life, "It's your fucking life," that night. Sarah finally fell asleep without the noise from the noisy pipes again, but in the middle of her sleep, she smelled a burning smell coming from her kitchen. When she checked, she was shocked to find her cat, Giles, burning in the oven. What happened next was so tense. Sarah was held captive by a man in darkness who immediately tied her to a bench. Is this man Lester? Does he want to rape her? But when the lights are turned on, it turns out that the culprit is Brian. a handsome neighbor whom she admires so much. Even if you open a suitcase and take out a syringe, Sarah struggled to free herself from the bonds in her seat. She then argued with Brian and Sarah managed to escape out of her room. In the middle of the corridor, she meets Esther, who strangely helps Brian to incapacitate her. So is everyone in this apartment a psychopath? When she is tied to the floor, Sarah finds everyone starting to look at her, but no one to help her. Turns out they knew if Sarah intended to move out of the apartment. Then Jerry came and looked at her. Brian then injected Sarah and she passed out. Sarah was lying in an empty room, with the door shut and all the windows covered with nailed boards. Many times she begged for help, but no one helped until finally Jerry and Brian came. They said that Sarah had quit her job, closed her bank accounts and credit cards. Then Jerry plays a voice recording of Lisa getting angry because of Sarah's words to their boss that almost got Lisa fired. It was as if Sarah was being made to distance herself from everyone she knew and change her identity. Brian then asked Sarah to face the wall and put her hand on the wall. At that moment, she realized that there was a strange mark on the wall that she saw for the first time at the open house. Gary says if there are only 2 rules in the apartment, if Sarah obeys then she will get a reward, but if she rebels then there is only punishment, as happened to Lester, who lost his eye and damaged his right ear because he tried to escape. Sarah then faced a wall with her hands against the wall. She was told to bend over to form a stressful position that was so painful. Sarah now had to stand in that position as long as the light was on. If the light was off then she could rest. Sarah obviously couldn't contain her fear and sadness, but she couldn't do anything, because she was being watched by CCTV cameras. Our Sarah had to bend in that painful position until nightfall, and finally the lights went out. She immediately fell down exhausted. Then she was only given a drink without food. When the lights came on, Sarah had to hunker down in that painful position for hours. Sarah had to do this painful activity many times, until finally Edith came to visit her. Edith explains that all residents in this apartment have to go through all these trials, including herself, even though she is very old. But she made it through, then Sarah must be able to. Edith explained that nowadays, many people no longer care about the people around or their community, so everyone is made to support each other in this apartment. Finally, Sarah can no longer hold on, even though the light is still on. Then she gets punished. The punishment is that her hands must be nailed to the wall. Sarah was so scared, but she couldn't do anything. When Brian started nailing her hands to the wall, not just one but both hands, Sarah suddenly could hear her father's voice saying that he had come to pick her up, even though it was all a ruse. Sarah, who had a high desire to run away, finally pulled her hand, which was still glued to the wall. Finally, Jerry and Brian came into her room and started hugging Sarah. They said they were proud of Sarah, who was able to endure all these initiations. Sarah then began to be bathed and treated. It turns out that everyone in this apartment also has nail marks on their hands, as if to mean that they have all gone through the pain Sarah went through. Sarah finally escaped the initiation of the residents of this psychopathic apartment. She was given new clothes and taken to a room where she was interrogated by a lie detector. Sarah was asked about all things personal, including her sexual life, because everyone in this community must be honest and open with each other, even down to the most personal things. Sarah begins to be taken around and explained about her environment, where they no longer meet the outside world and support each other. Even people coming out of their apartments are controlled by a remote, controlled by Jerry. Sarah started telling Jerry that she hated her father. That's what made Sarah leave the house. Sarah was then asked if she wanted to be part of the community, and of course she didn't. But Sarah can't lie, because the lie detector always knows if she's telling the truth or not. Everyone in this community was brainwashed by Charles D. Ellery, who wrote the book The Power of Community. In this community, everyone looks like they have a psychopathic soul, because they can hurt each other but quickly forgive and become family again. Sarah tried many times to get into this environment until she finally started getting a chance to grab a knife. Once again, Lester gave her the signal not to. Does Lester really want to leave this community too? Sarah is then ushered into a room equipped with CCTV cameras, where she and Brian keep an eye on everyone living in the apartment. Imagine there is no privacy in the apartment, even when going to the bathroom, because they will all be monitored by CCTV. Also in the surveillance room, Sarah realized that there were CCTV cameras watching them. If supervisors are being watched, then who is really watching over them? On the monitor, Sarah saw Edith, who started acting strange and almost hurt her. Realizing that Sarah finally managed to save Edith from danger, now Edith is laying down dying. Everyone in the community then came to see her, but unbeknownst to Sarah, if this is the last time for Edith to see the world, if a member is too old and can no longer contribute to this community, then that person must be killed by forcing them to breathe gas. Sarah didn't think this would happen, but she couldn't do anything about it. Edith finally had to die and ended her time in this world. Sarah was then asked again if she wanted to be a part of this community, and Sarah said yes, and this is the end of her initiation. Finally, Sarah became part of the community and was greeted so boisterously by all the residents. Sarah was asked to kneel. Then the back of her ear was branded with a hot iron, indicating that she was already part of the community. Finally, after the welcome party, Jerry announced that Sarah would be betrothed to Lester. Sarah couldn't say anything and tried to lie to herself because she knows that she has to accept all the rules shared in the psychopathic community. Sarah and Lester are finally married as a couple. Sarah ends up moving into Lester's room and has to live with him. Lester had already waited for Sarah in his room, and Sarah knew she didn't want to have any relationship with Lester. Luckily, Jerry came and said that Sarah's dad came looking for her. Is this a sign Sarah can run away from this community? Sarah is finally reunited with her father, but she must make her father go away for good, otherwise her father will be killed. Her father came into her room and tried to persuade Sarah. Sarah showed an attitude as if she really hated her father because Brian was waiting and could kill her father at any time. Sarah was forced to speak harshly and shoot her father out of her apartment. Her father said that he was very sorry for what he did in the past. For betraying her mother, Sarah almost melted, but she knew that this was wrong and her father could die. Finally, Sarah lied and said that she told her late mother that her father was having an affair. Her father was so angry that he slapped her and left. Sarah returned to Lester's room. It turns out that Lester is not what Sarah imagined. He had Sarah's sewing machine ready for her. Lester said that he also found it very difficult to accept his life. In this community, he even tried so hard to escape and kill himself. But now they have to accept their fate in this hell. Sarah is back on duty to monitor CCTV, and now she sees people coming to see the apartment. It was there that he saw Lisa come looking for a new apartment. It turned out that Lisa was chosen to live in the apartment and she started moving. Sarah just realized that all sleep disturbances are intentional to stress the new residents. Eventually, Lisa began to going through psychopathic initiation, where she was told to stand facing a wall. But Lisa wasn't like the submissive Sarah. She is tough, rebellious, and challenging to manage. Sarah was eventually asked to speak to submit and be a part of this community, but Lisa is really stubborn. Sarah says that she is happy right now, but Lisa knows full well that she is not. So as she always said, it's your fucking life. Sarah knows if she's trying to accept all this, even though her little heart says she doesn't want to be in this place. When Lisa tried to run away, she was finally stopped by Jerry, who immediately tied her hands. Sarah was forced by Jerry to hold Lisa's head because she was about to stick an ice pick into Lisa's ear. And Sarah knows she can't do this. Once again, Lisa said, "It's your fucking life." That made Sarah realize that she doesn't want this kind of life. Without a word, Sarah immediately stuck the ice all right into Jerry's neck. Just as they were just out the door, Jerry shot Lisa in the head and killed her. At this time, Jerry was about to chase Sarah, but Sarah went straight to kill Jerry with the ice pick. Sarah remembers that Jerry had a remote for opening the gate, and when she took the gun from Jerry's hand, Sarah realized that Jerry was part of the victim just like her. So who is really in charge of all this? Sarah came out and she tried to scare everyone with a gun. In her stagnation, Sarah tries to convince everyone that they can all choose because they all have a choice. Everyone here actually wanted to go, but they all couldn't go because they were too scared. Brian came in and explained that everyone in the apartment couldn't leave, and they all knew that Sarah says if Jerry is dead and they can all go. Brian said that Jerry wasn't a mastermind behind trapping them all in this apartment. Sarah couldn't help herself, and she accidentally shot Brian and killed him. Sarah tried to get out by pressing the remote to open the gate. And at the end of the door, Sarah was stopped by a man and Lester took Sarah's gun. Sarah begged Lester to just shoot her because she didn't want to be there anymore. In the end, Lester shot the man who intercepted Sarah and shot himself, as if to indicate that he really wanted to leave the community as well. Sarah finally managed to get out of the psychopath's apartment, and she immediately ran to the edge of her freedom. But strangely, along the way, she did not meet anyone at that moment. She found an apartment sign next to her apartment that said it belonged to the CDE, which was the initials of Charles Delaby. So is her apartment not Charles Delaby's only psychopathic apartment? Suddenly the warning light flashed, and all the housing complexes there immediately flashed a warning light. So actually Sarah is still not separated from this community. In fact, all the communities in this apartment are also supervised by a larger section. Sarah also ran as fast as she could, even though she didn't know if she could be free from all this. Subscribe for more storyline videos. Let's unpack it together.